Welcome to Subramani. We have to give it to Richard Nixon, who brought in this concept, I think in the 70s, about the petrodollar, right? So if you want oil in any part of the world, you will still do a dollar trade, right? So this means that every country in the world thinks that they should have some dollars as a reserve currency. How useful is it? Well, I don't know, because if the government of US decides that they don't like your face, they can say, okay, we will not give you access to this money, right? So whether it is China or Russia or India tomorrow, anybody who takes panga with the US will be told, okay, you can't have access to your money. That makes it a little scary. So will people really want the US dollar as a reserve currency, or will they start looking for an alternative? Now is the funny part. You have the world media dominated by the US. So your New York Times, Washington Post, Bloomberg, all those people, Reuters, everybody has its roots in US for all practical purposes. It's the biggest buyer of information, so it's a big market. So nobody will want to really take on the US. So they will all have articles saying why there is no alternative, why Bitcoin will not step into it, why Euro itself is not going to be into it, simply because the Euro also, or the Europeans have also sanctioned Russia. So it's no great advantage of making Euro the reserve currency. And honestly, the alternative is not visible, right? So alternative is not visible does not mean it is not there, right? It's just like risk. Sometimes you can see it, sometimes you can't see it, but it never goes away. So will it happen that the dollar gets weak and people don't want to deal in it anymore? Answer is no, because even the Chinese have accepted some of the sanctions which the US has imposed on Russia. So it is not as though, so the Chinese will not throw away the currency. They're too much invested into the US, so that will not happen. But will people start looking for an alternative? I think by all means they will. And I think if you are an investor with any stake in the US, you have to look at broad basing your asset class. So for example, if you are government of India and you have $100 in the US, you may want to come down to 95. You may want to come down to 90. You may want to keep some Brazilian currency, some Chinese currency, some Japanese currency, maybe some German marks, or whatever. Or maybe you will buy real estate in some of these countries and say, okay, I think there is a currency may not be very strong, so let me buy some real estate in Germany or something in some other place, some portion of the money. It is not that everything can go there. Or maybe gold prices will go up. People will say, let me keep more gold. So now the question to ask is gold price going up, or is the dollar value coming down? That's one important question to ask. Let us also remember that there are two people who question the petrodollar, right? I mean, there are three people. The third person is Putin. The first two people, we know what happened to them. Colonel Gaddafi, who said, I will create an African currency based on gold, right? He wanted to create that. And when he wanted to create that, obviously an American attempt was made on him and he was overthrown. On Saddam Hussein, of course, Bush went to US to search for weapons of mass destruction, chemical warfare, which we all knew perhaps that it did not exist. But he had to be taken out because he is the guy who spoke about selling the oil in Europe, right? So these two voices were silenced. Putin's voice will be silenced. I do not know whether in such a direct manner or in some indirect manner. So the US will make an attempt, because the whole of US is under threat if the petrodollar is questioned, right? Or if the petrodollar is destroyed, then America won't be the same again. It will not be such a powerful country. So there is no way how the US dollar is going to vanish from being the most powerful currency or being the reserve currency. More than 80% perhaps, or 75 to 80% of US $100 bills are abroad. They are not in the US, they are in other countries. And I believe many Indians also are post demonetization are keeping their black money in US dollar. They are not going to keep it in the Indian 2000 rupee note and run the risk of it being demonetized again, right? So nobody wants to run that risk, so they keep their cash in US dollar. A lot of rebels keep their money in US dollar. They can't keep it in bitcoins, right? So is there a choice? No, but like when Indira Gandhi was ousted, nobody thought that there was an alternative to Indira Gandhi, but Morarji Desai emerged. Not that it was a great experiment, a great successful experiment, but he was there for 2 years. He was holding fort, and then again people realized that Indira Gandhi is not the be all and end all, and after her death, it was her son, and then her son died, and then it is after that they have not been able to find a worthy heir, but India goes on. So similarly, I think there will not be you don't have to worry about the the US dollar vanishing, but it will definitely get weaker. If not, it can't get stronger. We do not know what they will do to the Russians. They will have US sanctions. Please understand, these are not UN sanctions, these are US sanctions. The US has not been able to convince the UN, I think, to have UN sanctions, so they will try all their best. I don't know what else they can do to get Putin out of the system, and the guy is young, so I don't know how they're going to tackle, but you will see a barrage of articles everywhere saying, oh, there is no alternative, so we have to be here, and all these guys are American, right? So when you have American press talking about American currency, saying how strong it is and how it will get stronger, you have to look at the alternatives. You have to look at others who are saying, no, it may not be true. So right now I'm not sure what is going to happen, but the US dollar vanishing as the most powerful currency, I think looks far-fetched, because when the pound was going, there was a US dollar visibly willing to take over that mandate of being the most powerful reserve currency. But today I don't think we can see something like that, but maybe Bitcoin would emerge, maybe you don't know what will emerge, but one thing will happen for sure is people will broad base their currency basket. So if India had say 70% in US dollar, they may want to come down to 65%. So something like that may happen, but 70 to 0, I have my doubts. So we don't know what will happen, but chances are there will be some disruption in the US dollar rates. It could actually strengthen, right? Contrary to whatever I have said, it could actually strengthen, because people would say, no, I'm anyway not going to take panga with US, so it's okay for me to hold it, and with so much of uncertainty, let me hold US dollar. So both kind of things would happen. Somebody could be dumping, somebody could be buying, right? So according to me, if you see the dollar rupee rate and if you see the dollar euro rate, there is not so much of panic. But you never know in these markets when can you be hit by panic. When you're hit by panic, then shit hits the roof. Thank you.